Bottom line is skin cancer affects everybody. We have children who are diagnosed with melanoma, so it's never too early to get your skin checked, and it's also never too late.
Welcome to the Healthy Skin Show with Jennifer Fugo, where we're flipping everything you've been told about your chronic skin issues upside down and connecting you with alternative solutions your dermatologist never told you about.
Welcome back to episode number 38 of the Healthy Skin Show. In today's episode, we'll touch on a very important topic, one that we often know a lot about, but unless you are actually told what you need to do to make sure that you get yourself checked for skin cancer, you probably haven't done this. And to be entirely honest, I've failed on this front. And that's why my interview today with our guest, who will be on momentarily, really hit home. I have had family members who have been diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma. And I've known plenty of other individuals who were very happy, healthy, vibrant, and yet they ended up with what felt like this out of the blue diagnosis of skin cancer. There have been a number of you who've asked me about skin cancers and what to do about them. So I thought that we would bring on an expert who could speak directly to it, not just a dermatologist that understands what you need to look for, but someone who's actually dealt with it herself. Before we dive into this, let's take a listener's question.
Hi, Jennifer. This is Amber Hewitt. The podcast with Rachel Pontillo blew my mind, and I am ready to ditch all of my skincare products. But now I'm left wondering, what should I use on my skin? Thank you.
Amber, thank you so much for leaving this question. And I love that you were so inspired by the episode with Rachel Pontillo, which we'll put that episode's link in the show notes. That way, it's really easy for those of you who may have missed it to tune in, because Rachel dropped some truly amazing knowledge bombs that shocked pretty much everybody who has listened to it. That said, you're wondering, how do I start to rebuild my skincare toolbox, so to speak, with products that are healthier? And so I've got 5 tips to help you do that. The first tip is to simplify. What I mean is to simplify the number of ingredients that you're exposing to your skin. There is nothing wrong with using single ingredient oils, for example, as a moisturizer to your skin. You just want to make sure that you are using the right ones. Number 2, avoid products that have a lot of questionable ingredients, things like sodium lauryl sulfate or SLS, parabens, phthalates, fragrances, colors, and don't forget about coconut, right? We talked a lot about why coconut and coconut ingredients may not be the best option for your skin, especially if they are high up on the list, meaning there's a higher concentration of them, simply because they are highly antimicrobial. Number 3, you can always look for the Made Safe label, which is a new label that you'll see coming out on products to help us differentiate between those that are quote unquote natural and those that are really going the extra distance and making sure to qualify that they are using safer ingredients. Number 4, shift your skincare with the seasons. Your skincare should not be the same year round unless maybe you live in an area like, for example, Costa Rica, where every single season is pretty much the same, hot and humid. However, I live in the Northeast of the United States, and we have a very distinct 4-season year. What I may use in the spring and summer will likely differ from what I use in the winter and fall, and it's okay to use heavier products in the winter and fall months, as opposed to then switching over to the lighter options or lighter oils and such in the spring and summer months. And 5, eliminate antibacterial soaps and cleaning products from your home, especially those that are very clearly labeled, we kill 99.999% of bacteria. You've probably seen the article that we shared about the human microbiome and the effect that eliminating so much of the bacteria, not only on our bodies and in our guts, but also in our homes, has caused a serious level of dysbiosis. The microbiomes work together. And if you're obsessed with eliminating them and getting rid of them, that's a huge problem. So look to start making your own products at home. If, like me, you're not a super DIY type person, you could check out some other cleaning product companies that are using things like probiotics, essential oils, and other natural ingredients in order to clean your home safely without eliminating so many of the bacteria in your environment. One really cool company that I recently discovered is called Counterculture. And I've talked about them on my Instagram. If you have any questions, let me know, but I'll link to them in today's show notes. And this is not a paid advertisement for them either. It's just a company that I found. I think what they're doing is really awesome and novel, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to share. So while you're just focused on skincare, I think we have to look a little bit broader and say, okay, it's not just about what we slather on our skin. It's also about what we do to our environment as a whole. I hope this is a good place to begin this conversation. And of course, if you have more specific questions, leave them in the comments for today's episode. And don't forget, we love getting questions submitted by you, the listener, to the Healthy Skin Show. All you have to do is head on over to naturalskinshow.com, and right there you'll be able to submit a voicemail so that we can include your question or comment in a future episode. All right, let's dive into today's conversation with Dr. Keira Barr. Hi, everyone. Today I have a very special guest with me, one that slightly frightens me, but more so because I realize that I have probably, in hindsight, not been super good about getting myself checked. And so we're going to talk about what exactly this is about. But I want to welcome to the show Dr. Keira Barr. She's a global speaker, internationally best-selling author, and educator. She's also dual board certified dermatologist with over 20 years experience practicing medicine. With all of the discoveries she's made, as well as her own experience with skin cancer. That's what we're talking about today. And apparently I'm feeling a little bit like I've been a little reckless and neglectful of my skin. So Dr. Barr will let me know. I'll use myself as an example, but she has developed a process and path that fortifies your body, your life, and your skin. And throughout her programs, services, and support as a Chief Wellness Officer of Resilient Health Institute, she's redefining the delivery of skincare and working to end the cycle of prescriptions, products, and fad trends the total natural way, which I love. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So, okay, let's be honest. I'm 38. That's when we're having this conversation too. So I don't know, if somebody's listening to this podcast from the beginning, I've done other podcasts for a long time. So I'm just letting you guys know I'm 38 right now. So Dr. Barr, am I too young to go get my skin checked for skin cancer? Or have I been neglectful? Be honest.
You're never too young.
Okay.
So bottom line, my job is not to make anyone feel bad, right?
No,
we got to start with where you are. Right. So 38 is young, but bottom line is skin cancer affects everybody. We have children who are diagnosed with melanoma. So it's never too early to get your skin checked. And it's also never too late to get your skin checked. So I would say now is a perfect time to begin. What's really important to appreciate, and I don't think most people think about this, but skin cancer is the most prevalent cancer in our country right now.
Really? Most prevalent?
Most prevalent,
Wow.
more common than breast cancer, lung cancer, than all other cancers combined. Skin cancer is the most prevalent.
Wow. And actually, before we go into that, we throw around the term skin cancer and melanomas and also what exactly does it mean? And I'm actually asking from my own curiosity, because maybe listeners here are going, oh, I know what skin cancer is, but I wonder if too, there's a more nuanced answer that you as a dermatologist, where A, you've had this, and B, you're helping people either determine whether they have it or whatnot. Is there a more nuanced answer of more so than just like, oh, your skin is cancerous? Like, what is skin cancer ultimately?
Yeah, that is a fantastic question, because there are nuances and there are different types of skin cancer. When I say the most prevalent cancer, I am referring to what we call non-melanoma skin cancers. And what falls into that category are the skin cancers basal cell carcinoma as well as squamous cell carcinoma. Those are the two most common. And those are derived from your skin cells in the top layer of your skin, your epidermis. The basal cells are the very base of that top layer. And then the squamous cells are the skin cells or the keratinocytes that make up the other layer. So those are the skin cells that are in the very top layer of your skin. And then there are other types of skin cancers, one called Merkel cell, which is more rare, although it is becoming more common. And then melanoma, which is also derived from a skin cell called your melanocyte, which is the pigment producing cell. It gives our skin the color. It's what, like, if I can show you, like on my hand,
Sure.
I have a mole or a nevus. Those are benign collections of these pigment producing cells. And the malignant counterpart is melanoma. And that is the most deadly type of skin cancer.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
people are listening, right? So I'm right there with you, everybody. If you haven't gotten checked, I have not gotten checked. So I've been right there with you. But if we're now going to start looking at our skin, what would be some red flags if you're looking in the mirror tonight after listening to this? I think regardless, we should make you a promise, Dr. Barr, that we should all make an appointment just to have, I guess, a skin cancer check at the doctor's, which I assume at the dermatologist would be covered by insurance.
Mm-hmm.
But is there any red flags that we would see on our body that you should be like, okay, this is not something you put off to next month or in 3 months. You need to make the appointment for this week?
Yeah, I love this. This is so ideal. So yes, so at a minimum, what I recommend is everyone at least once a year have a total body skin exam. My favorite piece of advice for everybody is to get naked. Like I know that's like a little awkward, but like, come on, we're just getting to know each other. Like, come on, get naked. It's the best advice. You know your skin better than anyone else. So I always suggest one day a month. You pick the date of your birthday, and every month you check your birthday suit for any uninvited guests, right? So before you get in the shower, you're already naked, you're checking out your skin. And what are you looking for? You're looking for, with regards to the most deadly skin cancer there is, melanoma, we talk about the ABCDEs of pigmented lesions. So when you have a pigmented lesion, so something that's not flesh colored, moles can be brown, black, sometimes they can be pink, but A stands for asymmetry. So when you have a spot on your skin, you want to make sure that if you draw an imaginary line down the middle, that both halves of that spot are equal, that they are the same appearance on both sides. So it's symmetric, right? B is for border. So you want to make sure that the spot has a nice sharp demarcation. It doesn't have jagged or blurry edges. It's a crisp margin. C is for color. You want to make sure that something is uniform in color throughout. So that's also important. You don't want something that is brown, black, blue. I mean, there is something called the blue nevus, but you don't want a ton of variation of color within a single lesion. D is for diameter, and that is a soft call. The party line was, if it's larger than a pencil eraser, you should get it checked. But I assure you, skin cancers come in all shapes and sizes, including very, very tiny. So the key is really E, which is for evolving, a spot that is changing over time. That is the one you want to bring to your dermatologist. So you are, every month you are looking for the ABCDEs. If something is not symmetric, it has a jagged or irregular border, it's changing in color or varying in color, and it is, again, changing over time. The other things that you should look for the non-melanoma skin cancers like basal cell and squamous cell is a sore that isn't healing. You think you've got a pimple on your face and it just won't go away, or you have a flaky spot on your face and you peel it off, but it keeps coming back. Those are things that are not necessarily skin cancer, but those are the type of things that you want to bring to the attention of your dermatologist. Another call sometimes, a spot that is just persistently itchy. It just starts itching and it's not like a couple of days, it's like weeks. That could be an indication that your body's sending you some messages, get that spot checked out.
And I know a lot of the listeners here, we deal with a heck of a lot of eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, etc., that probably might be freaking some people out right now. So that's another reason why I do actually encourage clients when they come to me to go get checked by the dermatologist just to make sure that there's nothing, this is a good example as to why you want to make sure that you get those itchy, flaky areas checked for what they are, what's going on there,
Right.
And I don't know if this is a crazy question or not, but it might have crossed some people's minds. But if you have a chronic skin condition, like one of these rashy, itchy things, does that ever, in a sense, predispose you more to skin cancer? Or are they completely not connected?
There are some connections. And there are certain skin conditions that have been associated, especially with the squamous cell carcinoma type. But yes, there are certain chronic skin conditions that have been associated with skin cancer. A caveat to that, too, is there are certain individuals who have psoriasis, for instance, depending on the therapy that they are being given, if it's an immunosuppressive medication or they've had a lot of light therapy, those treatment modalities may put them in a higher risk stratification for skin cancer. That is always a possibility too. And that's why we follow those patients very closely and check them and make sure that, again, they don't have lesions that are growing, changing. One of the other signs was something that's bleeding. Did I say that? If it's not,
Did
it
not,
is
but
a
good
sore
to
that's
know.
not healing, something that's spontaneously bleeding. That's another reason to get your skin checked.
Okay. I actually want to talk a little bit more. I love what you were saying about the light therapy. So does light therapy increase the risk? Because that is used sometimes with eczema, and I've seen that on message boards. I didn't use that when I had eczema, but I've seen that some people have given that a shot, and then I've seen that some people have said, "Hey, I actually developed a skin problem that was was actually skin cancer as a result of doing the light therapy to resolve the rashes." Is that like a legit risk?
Yes, and more so many, many years ago. Back in the day, we would use what we call PUVA therapy. It was for patients with psoriasis. It's ultraviolet A radiation with a photosensitizing agent called a psoralen. And so those patients would get hundreds of treatments, and you would see that they'd have what we call PUVA freckles, these big brown splotches, and you knew exactly the kind of treatment they had. And there was a concern and a risk for patients to develop skin cancer. That being said, UVB and narrowband UVB light is what is used a lot more frequently for psoriasis patients and some eczema patients and for other photosensitive conditions. Light can be incredibly beneficial because it is an immunosuppressant. It does suppress the immune system. So on one hand, that's what we're looking for because in psoriasis, eczema, the immune system is jazzed up. And so we want to suppress that. On the other hand, we're suppressing the immune system. so some of the genes that we don't want on sometimes can get turned on. So it's a very fine line. This is why when individuals get light therapy, you have to have it done by a dermatologist who is well versed in light therapy. This is why we always discourage people from going to a tanning booth because when you go to a dermatologist, the amount of light you get, it is seconds. It is so minute. It is quick. It is fast. When you go to a tanning booth, I mean, you could be in there for minutes. And so the blast of light, the intensity of light, it's not regulated. There's a much, much higher risk of developing skin cancer and melanoma from a tanning booth than from your dermatologist where it's tightly regulated for phototherapy.
Wow, that's a good differentiator there because some people might think it's either cheaper or more convenient to go to a tanning bed, but if you do have, and so for anybody who doesn't know this, that is a legit option as far as a treatment. And that was always one concern that I had was what about the cancer risk? But I never even, for some reason, it didn't occur to me that somebody might go to a tanning bed. But now that you say that, that could be something that someone might try to do, and there is a risk there. And the other point, too, that I want to underscore is that those immunosuppressant drugs, it is an actual risk. Like, it's not like nobody gets that. That is a problem with those drugs. And when you sign on to do them, that is a risk that you take. And I do know of people who have developed cancer as a result of taking those immunosuppressants for psoriasis and other immune system type diseases. So with that said, because I think this is then the question, like some people feel that their skin feels better when they go out in the sun. But, you made this interesting point before we started about sunscreen.
Oh, I love.
And you were saying it's actually not your first line of defense when it comes to skin cancer. And
Yeah.
so I'm not going to share my beliefs on sunscreen because I think they're personal, but I would rather hear it from you because you're a dermatologist. So tell us, what do you recommend? Like, what should we do about this? Like, where should we be starting as far as making sure that the rays that come from the sun, which, yes, help us produce vitamin D, can certainly make you feel better because being deprived of light and sun is depressing. But what should we be doing here?
Yeah. So hands down, sunscreen, it is an important part of your strategy. So there's, protecting yourself from the outside in and the inside out. When you go outdoors, like sunscreen, I always say it should be like brushing your teeth. It's part of your daily routine, but you can't rely on it to protect you as your one and only. First and foremost, most people don't apply enough sunscreen to begin with. The recommendation, if you're going out for a day at the beach, is to use 1 ounce, so a shot glass worth of sunscreen for your whole
A
body.
shot glass?
A shot glass. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of sunscreen.
I wish I had a tube of sunscreen. Most sunscreens on the market right now, they're about a 4-ounce bottle. So if you and let's just say 4 of your girlfriends go to the beach, each of you should be using 1 ounce. If you're wearing a bathing suit and you're not wearing a rash guard or anything like that, you're just going out in your cute teeny weeny bikini, that sunscreen bottle should be in the garbage after you've all applied. And then 2 hours later, you need to reapply it because, you've either sweated it off, wiped it off on your towel, you went swimming, and most people aren't doing that. So sunscreen can't be your only line of defense because most of us aren't using it appropriately. We're using probably a quarter of the amount that is recommended. So that's a big reason why sunscreen can't be your only line of defense. So that's why we also talk about wearing clothing. I mean, the Skin Cancer Foundation, they say clothing is a number one line of defense, right? You have coverage, great. So you're wearing clothing, you're wearing a nice broad brim hat, 3 inches or greater. You're accessorizing with sunglasses, seeking shade. So those are things that you do from the outside in. So use it as a good, ladies, if you want to go shopping, go on a shopping spree and get the cute hat and sunglasses. And, there's a lot of great companies now that make sun protective clothing a little bit more fashionable. There's still a lot to be desired, but it's much better than it was. The biggest to really truly build your resilience, it begins nourishing yourself from the inside out. And that is eating whole nutrient dense foods, filling your plate with lots of colorful fruits and veggies to get your phytonutrients, to make sure that you're bolstering your supply of antioxidants because those get used up very quickly when we're exposed to environmental stressors, including sun exposure, air pollution, and everything else that comes our way on a daily basis. So eating well, getting quality sleep. I'm charging mine right now, but I do wear an Oura ring to help me track like the quality of my sleep. And I know that, when my deep sleep is taking a plummet, I know for sure I've been on my phone too long at night and I haven't shut down my screens. And there's little things that we can do, moving your body and especially mindset work. So it's kind of just living, treating yourself well, living well. That is going to be your best line of defense from not only skin cancer, but any chronic disease across the board.
Yeah. And that's always a big thing here is like trying to clean up the diet, get rid of the junk. I always say the 85-15 rule is pretty good. That's usually where I kind of stick. I don't like people to feel guilty about how they do or don't eat, but try within the 85% of your week. Eat as healthfully as you can, put a lot of colors on your plate. And that's another reason why I'm not a fan of elimination diets, but you guys have heard me talk a bunch about that. And you certainly can check out, we can put some links for anybody who's like, but I don't like this food and I don't think I should eat this food. I'll put a link to a podcast. Kelsey, Kinney, and I talked all about that. So we'll link to that so you can understand, why that may not be the best way. And trying to really fill your plate out with as many colorful fruits and vegetables is really a wise way to go, regardless of what your triggers are. Because oftentimes we found with chronic cases are not food related. Wow, Dr. Barr, this has been so great and so helpful. And now I realize I've got to actually make an appointment with my dermatologist. I'm going to do it.
Awesome.
And I encourage everybody else to do it too. This is not just for me. And I know that some of you have gone for your skin rashes, but that's different. That's not, when you show up for, hey, can you look at my rash on my arm or my hands? The doctor's not checking you out for that other reason. So this is going to the dermatologist for a completely separate purpose. And that's why, even if you've been there last month or you were there 2 weeks ago, this is right. Am I right in saying that this is a separate intention and purpose to go to the doctors as more of a preventative measure to make sure that we hopefully don't have anything. And if we do have something, we catch it early.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And the other thing too is putting that date in your calendar every month, getting naked, checking your skin. And if you're not sure, snap a photo. That's a beautiful thing about smartphones. Snap a photo and you can track a spot over time. If you're not sure, is it changing, is it growing? I don't know. Recruit everyone you know. Get your hairdresser to check your scalp because you can't see it. Get your dentist to check in your mouth. Get your ophthalmologist, your optometrist to look in your eyes. Get your GYN to look inside when she's doing your exam. That being said, get familiar with every nook and cranny yourself. Get that hand mirror. Get familiar with all your bits and pieces because melanoma does occur where the sun doesn't shine. So check everything between your toes. Ladies, between your mani-pedis, make sure there's no pigmented lesions underneath your nails too.
Wow. So this is skin and beyond. I like
Yes.
it.
Yeah. And to your point about elimination diets and all this pressure, I'm so not dogmatic about a lot of stuff, but it's all about upgrading, right? I mean, I love a good glass of wine and my chocolate, and there are benefits, right? There's resveratrol, the flavonoids in the chocolate, but it's all about upgrading what you're eating, right?
Exactly.
If you read those labels, if you can get biodynamic organic wines, fantastic, but life is meant to be enjoyed. It's just about making the best choices you can when you can.
Exactly.
Right? To serve your health.
Exactly. And I'm sure you cover all of that in your book. Dr. Barr has a fantastic book called The Skin Whisperer. And I will actually put a link to her website, to all of her social media, as well as her book. This gift is actually a free copy of your book. Am I right?
Yeah. You are right, because I want everyone to have access to the information. Like I said, it is not just about skin cancer, but I do put a lot of information in there about everything we talked about, how to check your skin, what to look for, how to eat to stave off some of the damage from the environment. And so I want to make sure everyone has access to that information.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And everybody, I'll put the links right in the show notes so it's easy for you to access. If you're listening and driving, don't go online. Wait until you get home. It'll be waiting there for you. Dr. Barr, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. It was super fun.
Because this is right before the summertime holidays, I thought that this was the perfect time to have Dr. Keira Barr on to share about this. So just like myself, I'm going to schedule an appointment with my dermatologist to have a skin cancer check done. And I hope that after listening to this appointment, you will do the same. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast so others looking for a new podcast to tune into will see that it's valuable and worth a listen. And as always, if you find this helpful, share it with a friend or two. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.